Guys, gals, everyone out there, welcome to another Saturday. Last day of the month. Comic Con time, right? How are y'all doing? You've been watching the Comic Con um, announcements and releases. I tell you, there's two things that I'm excited about. First off, I've really got to stay away from Star Wars. Marvel keeps me broke as it is. I can't even afford any DC characters. Marvel just keeps me broke as it is. But my goodness, I'm very happy to see the Prince statue on his motorcycle. That is going to be an absolute must buy for me. 1/6 scale Prince on his motorcycle from the movie Purple Rain. That for fact is going to be a buy for fact. Um, and then, of course, the Miles Morales Purple Rain suit. I'm excited about that. That looks pretty cool. I guess that's from the video game. I don't really know. If I had the time, I would love to play that video game. Wanted to get it while my wife is still alive, because she's from New York, and it looked very realistic in regards to the traveling around the city, more or less, And I think she would have got a kick out of that. Um, she kept telling me no, and I never did. And I don't even know if you can even buy the PlayStation at this point. They're all probably sold out. I don't know. Don't really know, actually. So some of you guys have been getting your figures that I haven't been getting as usual. So I'm still waiting on my pepper pots. It's really, I don't even understand that. But that's how shit goes. But what I did get, what we're going to unbox today, Antioch suit Spider-Man. Can't complain about that. I love me Spider-Man. Spidey's my guy. Spider-Man was my first superhero, probably the only superhero I could connect to in regards to things. You know what I mean? I was raised on Superman and Batman, of course, but they were Superman and Batman. You know, all absolute respect goes to Superman, most powerful being on the planet, right? And then, of course, Batman with all of his gadgets and absolute endless income, with all the toys, and his intelligence is just, beyond anything. Given enough time, Batman can defeat anybody because all he has to do is just plan an attack, just like playing chess, and he'll beat anybody if he has an opportunity to figure out what your weaknesses are. He'll whip you. And but those were just superheroes that were just superheroes. And then along came Spider-Man, just a normal kid. Granted, he's super intelligent, um, but everything else was just thrown at him, just literally, I mean, literally thrown at him, and which you could say the same thing would be for Superman or Batman or basically any hero that's put into a situation. They have to make a decision whether they're going to become a hero or a villain as well. I don't necessarily believe that people are just born villains, unless you're made to be a villain, created as a villain. But I think people go to that point, and we see that struggle a lot of times in comics where um, they'll have a chance to go straight and or do the right thing, and they choose the wrong thing. And even Peter Parker went through that with um, the guy that in the very beginning when he first received his powers, and he went to the wrestling ring, which originally was to get money to buy a car, because he wanted to impress the girls. So he wanted to get money to buy a car, which he figured he would win in a wrestling ring. And the guy wouldn't pay him after the match, depending on what story that you may have been told. But for whatever reason, he didn't get paid, and then the guy got robbed, and Peter decided to not assist in stopping the burglar who had just robbed the guy that refused to pay Peter. And then, of course, that killed Uncle Ben. So right off the bat, here's Peter with his powers. He's not using them for good. He's using them for greed. He doesn't stop a villain who literally was very clearly in the wrong. He's like, hey, whatever you do, whatever you want, I'm staying out of it and I surely ain't doing anything for you because you didn't do anything for me, so you're on your own. And then the consequence of that ended up being the death of his Uncle Ben. Now, there's been stories that have countered that, and as the years gone by, that wasn't necessarily him that did it or whatever. We don't, so, but that was the turning point that originally made Peter then decide he needed to start doing the right thing, because Uncle Ben told him with great power comes great responsibility, and that became his charge in life. And he went out and sought revenge on the burglar, helped the police capture him, and from then on he became a vigilante as far as the police were concerned. But as far as we're concerned, he became a superhero, and in his own mind, he became a superhero. But the police in the comics always had that official position that he was a vigilante, and the police should be doing their job, not him doing the job for them. But of course, he was doing jobs that the police couldn't or wouldn't do, mostly couldn't. And then on top of that, then the question becomes, just like it does with Batman, who created whom? Did the fact that Peter Parker exists as Spider-Man, is that why some of these villains came into existence? Is that why the Green Goblin came about? Is that why the Hobgoblin came about? Is that why J. Jonah Jameson started creating, the Sentinels and Scorpion and all these others, or whatever? Did they only come about because of Peter Parker? If Peter Parker wasn't Spider-Man, would these other villains had even existed? Would they even had been created if there wasn't already Peter Parker in the first place? So now you're down to the chicken and the egg conundrum. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And so, that's always the big struggle with it as well. If Peter never donned that uniform in the first place, would these supervillains even manifest themselves? You might say possibly still, no matter, because evil already always exists, or bad guys will always be there, no matter whether there's a good guy to counter them or not. And there's always going to be good guys that are going to do things for the greater good, no matter, because they just don't have that, or they've already had that discussion with themselves and decided that they weren't going to use their powers for bad. So that's the beautiful thing about all that, which makes Peter so relatable, because he's just a regular guy. Yeah, granted, he's got super intelligence, but beyond that, he struggles with everything that every one of us has. He's not a mutant. He wasn't born with the ability to, shape shift or go invisible or run faster than a speeding bullet or fly because of a mutated gene. It literally was just a normal guy bit by a radioactive spider, which, by the way, don't go out finding a radioactive spider to bite you. It's not going to give you Spider-Man strength or anything like that. I'm warning, just letting you know in case you had any question about that. It's not going to happen to you. But, that's what made him the most relatable, and that's why I fell in love with Peter Parker and Spider-Man. So I will collect anything that they make Spider-Man, for fact, in regards to the 1/6 scale hobby that I prescribe to. So here we are with the Antioch suit from the PlayStation games, and I hope they make them all. I really do. I really hope that they make every one of them, from the original. I mean, they can even go backwards one. What was the other game that came before this Spider-Man game that came out a couple years ago? There was one before that had a lot of suits in it. Make some from there. One of the things that I am enjoying is the Miles Morales. He's an alternate Spider-Man which is great because we already had that with Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara. We have already had alternate Spider-Mans. Hell, Venom is an alternate Spider-Man in all actuality. Eddie Brock, or whoever it is that happens to be wearing the Venom symbiote or hosting the Venom symbiote, right? So Doc Ock is one of the original, one of the Sinister Six, which we've been getting promised the Sinister Six ever since Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man. They were supposed to be making a Sinister Six from that. Um, the fourth movie was supposed to be the Sinister Six, and Bruce Campbell was going to be Mysterio, by the way. And the fifth movie was supposed to be Carnage, by the way. Venom was found alive and well in San Francisco with the Life Foundation. That's how Tobey Maguire was supposed to go. They had those 5 movies planned, but the third movie was just such a bust that they had to reboot it, and that out came the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, which a lot of you really relate to Andrew Garfield and his Spider-Man. I'd already had fallen for Toby and was a little bitter that they didn't continue to bid the Toby thing. I'm really angry about how they did Topher Grace's Spider-Man. I mean Venom, but shit happens. But that's what was supposed to be going on with Toby. But then also you'll hear stories where Toby said he was tired, and Kirsten said she wasn't going to do anything if Topher didn't come back, and who really even knows what's really going on? Oh, by the way, did you hear about Scarlett Johansson's lawsuit against Disney? She's none too pleased. Evidently, when they made the rights, I don't know the whole story. It's out there if you're looking for it. She was promised that they weren't going to stream it until it had a wide theatrical release. Now, mind you, all this went into play before COVID even existed, because if you remember, the movie was supposed to come out, I think, in March of last year, or maybe May. I don't remember. And then they pushed it back until October. And then, of course, COVID wasn't relaxing at all during that time. So it got pushed back again. And then finally, what happened, and we even talked about this. The movie came out on Thursday, on forget now, Wednesday or Thursday, and then like the very next day, you could rent it on Disney Plus for $30. And Scarlett Johansson's lawsuit states that with Disney doing that, it kept her from getting the wide theatrical release, which they promised her. And she's claiming that she's lost millions of dollars of revenue. The movie lost millions of dollars of revenue that would have been gained in the box office because of the streaming service Disney Plus, and that Disney literally used Black Widow as a means of advertising their product. And I can tell you, I literally 100% agree with that thought process, because we even talked about that literally for $30 you could bring your entire family over there and watch a brand spanking new movie. I mean, that's what you would end up spending, probably 1 or 2 people in the theater in the first place. So you could watch 4 or 5, hell, as many people as you can fit in your house for $30 and watch the movie, have your own party, And so I 100% understand exactly where she's coming from in regards to that. And it may have made the decision for some people not to go to the theater who had that opportunity to go to the theater. Now, granted, a lot of people probably didn't have the opportunity or even wanted to get into the theater, but because of COVID, so that would be their argument, that there wasn't going to be a huge theatrical release because of COVID anyhow. But nonetheless, anyone that was on the fence, the opinion to be able to sit at home in your pajamas and watch this and cook your own popcorn, come on, that's a pretty huge temptation. So it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. They're citing, I guess, another company that has already been sued over this and has had to pay out hundreds of millions of dollars to actors in regards to streaming the movies as soon as they hit theatrical releases. So this gold box is pretty. So that'll be interesting to see where it goes. And 100%, I love what an actor does, or actress. however they want to classify themselves. I love the entertainment that they give us. You know, they've assumed an identity. They've made this person believable. They made you want to either fall in love with them or hate them, whatever side of the fence they're supposed to be standing on. You know, and if they don't take their time to perfect their art of doing that, why the hell am I going to even want to watch it? So Scarlett Johansson has brought Black Widow to life, 100%. She's a believable character, and the fact that they've done this to her, oh man, you know, love her or hate her, the actress, you have to really hate the business when it starts tampering with people's money. No matter what business you're in, whenever the boss is dictating how your money flows and he's doing it adversely, you have to stand up for the little guy. And in this instance, Scarlett Johansson's literally the little guy, as Disney is just gobbling her up, and it's pretty shitty. So VGM 45. Are we really on 45 now? Has there been 45 video game masterpiece figures? Wow, that's surprising. We have a little reveal box here. I think I only ordered one of these. I don't know why. And this says the deluxe version on the outside of the box. So I'm assuming I ordered the deluxe version. That's the that's the sad thing about buying figures and having to wait 2 years for them to finally get to you. You don't remember why you bought them, or even if you bought them. I have to go back and check my records all the time to see if I'd even ordered a figure in the first place sometimes. We did the impossible doc, but now I have to destroy it with a little creation of my own, Peter Parker. That's the quote on the inside of the box here. One-sixth scale collectible figure. Antioch suit. Spiderman. Toy Mafia, how you doing, man? Jake, good morning. C'est bon, Mason. Love saying your name. I'm gonna change my name to that. I'm taking your name. C'est bon, Mason. Love that. I love that. That's a great name. It just rolls. Like, that's one of those names like Bond, James Bond. You know, you just want to say the name. It's just a cool name. I love that. I think it's funny whenever I'm talking to people and they'll say my name and their phone will start up. Hey Siri. Yes. Not you, Siri. This Siri. Go away, Siri. Okay. Not you, Siri. That Siri. I was Siri first. Wow, a lot of stuff, lot of stuff, lot of stuff. So here in the top, we see we got just the basic stuff that would come with any typical Spider-Man figure. We'll get into that in just a quick moment. Here's the good stuff. Let's start with the good stuff. Willie, how's it going, man? We're unboxing the Spider-Man Antioch suit. Video game series 045. The 45th iteration of figures that Hot Toys has made from in their video game masterpiece collection. And this is from the PlayStation game. I forget the name of the PlayStation game. The Spider-Man one. And I'm assuming, I don't know, again, because I've not played either of them, the Miles Morales version of it, I'm assuming it has the first version in it too. I don't know. I hope you guys... Okay, we have two versions of base that you could use. And if for whatever reason, you wanted to use this, I imagine you could just knock some holes in there, maybe a hole punch or something. That'd be a big hole punch. But if you wanted to put this on top of that, and then of course, if you weren't getting the deluxe, I imagine it probably doesn't come with this one. It probably just comes with this applied directly to this. I'm guessing here. I don't know. We've got the articulated new style, articulated posing rod. And these do not appear to be articulated. It's fabricated out of that really tough vinyl. So they're super lightweight. I mean, there's virtually no weight to this, which is good, which means it's not going to be toppling over from its own weight. So it's made of that real sturdy vinyl, and you can see that because you can compress these claws down and the little fins. Okay, but they're not articulated. So I suppose if somebody was industrious, you could, in fact, make it articulated with a little bit of cutting on here, should you feel so inclined. If you wanted to cut those open and make them articulated, I don't see how that wouldn't be too difficult to do. And then just put some little pins in there or something to do that. I wouldn't recommend it, but it definitely is possible. Or maybe if you wanted to open them up more or close them down in case you wanted to have it wrapped around your figure, you should be able to modify this if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend it. It definitely has a specific position that they want this to go in because of that little flat area there. I should probably look at the instruction manual to see which one goes where. Fits pretty snugly in there. You heard it actually pressing in as it went through that. This one is flat. There's no edge on that, so I suppose you could put that in any one of the three positions, in all truthfulness. And this one also is flat. So you should probably look at the instruction manual, see if it says there's a specific place for each of these. But then again, you can do whatever you want. It's your figure. Right? That's what we got going so far. And no, that's probably not the right place for it, truthfully. So let's get Spidey over here. I don't remember whether or not this yellow is UV reflective. And I can't get to my UV figures. I have a light on, obviously, the Spider Armor Mark IV. And I have a light on T'Challa. And he's up there. Neither one of them are accessible at the moment. So I can't test it. And I never found a UV light through any other company that I was impressed with enough to buy to make any type of a UV light display, truthfully. And I never bought any of the extra bases. There were companies that were selling the UV bases. I never bought one of those extra. But I'm thinking, if my memory serves me, that this yellow lights up or something. I really don't know. Maybe one of you can verify that for me. So, of course, unfortunately, we learned with the Spider-Man negative suit that you can't pose these guys for long at all. And I think it was the Fison instruction manual that was saying don't let him sit for more than 2 days in a pose. So if you're going to pose your figures, I'm going to recommend that you follow Fison/TB League's advisement of switching them up every 2 days. And what happened with my negative suit Spidey was I had him in a very Spider-Man-like pose with his legs all up by his ears and the whole 9 yards, and where his thigh was touching his groin area, and the material stuck to itself and left a little mark on the material. I have since bought another negative suit Spidey, which I have not opened yet, and I need to put that negative suit Spidey for sale for somebody who wouldn't mind it, just a little bitty. I mean, it's just a teensy little bitty thing right there. You can barely even notice it. If it wasn't pointed out to you, you probably wouldn't notice it at all. And I don't know, some of you might. Some of you are just as meticulous as I am. You would notice it, but it bothers me. So literally, what I intend to do is to open up the other Spidey and just take Spidey out of it, and then put the other one in it, so everything else is still brand spanking new, and selling it. And it'd be cheaper than it would be brand new, but I've not done that yet. But I have no need for them. That's why I haven't even taken them out of the box yet, the other one. So if any of y'all want him, let me know. We've talked about that before. The bad thing about these Spideys is this isn't for your casual collector, okay? What that means is your casual collector is going to collect 1 or 2 figures that represent that character, but they're going to have a very diverse collection. They may have a Superman, a Batman, a Spider-Man, a Thor, a Captain America, one of those things, a Iron Man, an Iron Man. And when they collect those pieces as such, they're going for the absolute traditional styled character. So red and blue is going to be your traditional Spider-Man. And this obviously isn't a traditional Spider-Man. So, needless to say, that's going to cause a couple of things. One thing it's going to cause is that there's not going to be many of these made or sold. Now, that also means it's going to be difficult to sell because they're probably not even going to sell them out. So, this is one of those pieces that probably really isn't going to be a collectible piece. But then again, because of the limited run on it, I only imagine that it's going to be a limited run compared to the red and blue Spideys. Um, it could end up becoming a collectible piece. So you never really can tell what's going to go where. Like who would have thought in any practical process that Hela would become a piece that became extremely collectible, or the Mark 47, a red and silver Iron Man, did resemble the Ultimate Iron Man, I must say, but still, it just went gangbusters through the roof in its value when it first came out. So the suit feels, um, it actually feels like latex, is what it feels like. A very interesting feel. It doesn't come to my mind on any other suit. Possibly the Mark IV, Spider Armor Mark IV. Possibly the Iron Spider, but no, it definitely has its own feel. No doubt about it. I like his little feet um, designs down there. Now the thing with most of these characters, you'll hardly ever see their feet. But Spidey, I mean, you could easily just pose him straight up with his feet coming coming right at you as he's in some type of an exaggerated Spider-Man pose, swinging through the air with his webbing going everywhere, and so it's quite possible you could see the bottom of his feet. So it's nice that there's some detail on there of whatever that's supposed to be, because I could see posing Spidey in that manner. I truthfully can. But my Spidey will be standing straight up, hands to side, not moving. Because I don't feel like reposing my figures every 2 days. One day I might. Regular head pop off here. So it's not one of the ones that uses a magnet or anything of that sort. So you would be able to put the oh my goodness, look at that, I can't get it off of me. You could be able to put the a Peter head sculpt on it, any number of Peter head sculpts that are out there, should you desire. I really like the one that I got from Lim Toys. I think made one that resembles the Peter from the game. I really like that. Let's have a look at the instruction manual real quick. Okay, so it talks about the lobster claw and how it goes on. Remember, it's one that will slide up and down. I don't care for it because only through the act of resistance and friction is what's keeping it in place. So if you're trying to elevate him, you're going to be an issue. The nice thing is that there's been enough of these out that there are longer rods. So if you wanted to use a longer rod, then you can to get him up into a higher position. That's nice about that because these have been around for a while. So you can interchange this with a different rod if you wanted a different sized one than what comes with it. If you've been collecting these figures, as long as some of us have been, right? And then it shows about the extra covering for the figure base. And all you would do is just lay it on there, and then when you place this on it, it'll hold it in place. You don't have to glue it on there if you don't want to. And then they show where these pieces go, which is my question. And so I had the first one on properly, but 2 and 3, I just have them backwards. So we'll get those straightened out right now. And that makes more sense, actually, now that I've put that on there. And I'll show you why here in a minute. With the second claw here, there's a cutout for the figure articulated posing rod to go in. If you see that, how that goes around there. And then with this tentacle arm, which appears to be going through the floor, it actually ends up being at the same height as the bottom of the base when you place it there. And there's a little cutout for it on here. So yeah, it makes perfect sense with it being in this position. And I think Savon had made a really ingenious recommendation with the Molten Man that came with the Spider-Man from Far From Home, where he stated the hanging up on the wall. And this would work just as well for that exact same scenario. I love that thinking, Savon Mason. That was ingenious. And again, this really is a villain. Hell, it may be the closest we may ever get to a Doc Ock villain from the video game. So this would look great just stuck on the wall, or there it would be sideways, for instance. And or however you decided to put it, it would be great as a sideways thing. And then you could even have Spidey even coming out of it sideways. So that's a genius save on Mason. I love how you shared that. Also like how this figure base, the orange stripe there continues on to that articulated arm coming out of it, which is a neat little touch. Don't know if you can see that or not, but that orange arm, that orange stripe continues on the arm, which gives the effect that the arm is actually coming out of that wall or floor there. Pretty neat. Nice touch to that. Nice touch to that. And then, of course, if you don't want to use a figure stand, a posing rod at all, there's enough room on here for Spidey to stand on his own. And Spidey's pretty stiff, so if you don't move him much, I don't see why he wouldn't stand there on his own. So there's that as well. Let's see if we can scoot him in here a little more. By the way, it says that all these little pieces here are very sharp. They're not very sharp. Okay, we've dealt with very sharp accessories. Yeah, they're pointed, but they're not very sharp. They're like, be careful, you'll poke your eye out with this. Yeah, you probably could poke your eye out, but it's not very sharp. I'm not hurting my finger touching it, but they claim it's very sharp. And yeah, luminous reflective patterns on the costume can be viewed under UV black light. Product does not include a UV black light though. So yeah, the yellow, the eyes, and the chest and back are luminescent under UV black light. And then we have on how to remove the eyes by pressing at the top. The eyes will pop out, and then there are uh, two additional eyes, which I'll show you in a minute. And then it shows how to articulate the figure on the right way of moving the feet and the toes and the arms. So let's show you all of this here. There's the first two sections of the instruction manual. And that section. And finally the last two sections, which show the degrees of rotation that are possible with this articulated figure. Matt, how's it going, man? You've not put it on the wall yet. I'm going to also just purchase another drone. Oh, nice, nice. I have two now. About getting one. Oh, yeah. I've got the drone that I bought that I haven't unboxed yet. But I bought that drone also. I love it. So what do I have? I have, I think, what the homemade suit came with the drone. Is that right? I'm trying to remember. Oh, I've got Spideys on the ground down there. Where are my drones? I can't even see my figures. I got all these boxes in the way. Oh my god. I think my drones are down there on the floor. They've fallen over. Oh no, here we are. Still can't see them. I'm pretty sure the drone came with the homemade suit, right? So I've got a drone sitting on a on the Far From Home base with the digital effects on it, with one of the mini drones, and then I bought a second drone. But yeah, if you're doing like a villain thing, save on, yeah, God, the drones are neat, really neat, and good price too, right? Good priced, which is always a bonus. We get the basic regular web swing that we've had for all of them, including the Todd McFarlane accessory. Normally they put like a silver wash over it. If they did, it's really light. I'm thinking that they've gotten cheap and didn't put a silver wash over the webbing. So this webbing is just clear. I don't see the silver highlight that's normally put on this webbing. Normally they put a silver highlight on all the ridges and edges on it. Just a little light little touch. I don't see it on here. It might be, but I don't see it. Let me show you one of the globbed ones. It definitely doesn't appear to be on there. So that's disappointing that they took that step out of the creation of these. Now, when you would see the third party remakes of these, they'd be a cheaper plastic. They would be bent sometimes even and not straight. And they never put that silver wash on it. So it's disappointing to not see that on here. And it might be, but I just don't see it. look over here and see if I can find one for comparison. So what have we got over here? We've got a few of these. Yeah. So these pieces have the silver on them, and it's very light. I mean, it's just a like a dry brush or whatever. It's just on the raised area, just a little silver on it, or gray or white. I can't really tell what color it is. I think it's silver, but it's not on. It's not on these pieces, so that's disappointing. That's very disappointing. For whatever it's worth, what does that tell us? I don't know. I don't know what that tells us. But for instance, here's a web from a third party where they've used the same mold, and there's no silver on it at all. And you notice it's not straight. It's a cheaper plastic that they used, and these I think came with I don't know, maybe a Miles or a Spider Gwen. I don't know, maybe Peter B. Parker. But you can see how they're not straight, and they're not painted silver. So now the Doc Ock one comes not painted silver. Whatever that means, whatever that means, I don't know. But that was the easy way to tell the difference between the Hot Toy ones and the third party ones was the silver paint. The second way would be obviously the the waviness in the webbing. So that's unfortunate. And we get the lobster claw with the back support. I was really glad when it came out with these back supports. You know, so there's multiple versions of these lobster claws that are out there. The original lobster claws are closer to the rod because they don't have this back support. So if you want to get a figure close to the rod, you would go with the original lobster claws, and they don't have a back support at all. Then they started adding the back supports on them, and then they started adding this little piece of rubber on them here, which are designed to go as a friction piece to cause it to stay on here tighter. Um, you can't tighten the rubber. It's one size more or less. So you can tighten the claw, uh, the section that goes around the rod, but the rubber doesn't really tighten. So it just stays there for the most part. But, you know, trade off, trade off, trade off, trade off. And like I said, I hate when they don't put, I mean, they put a little cover on this. Just give us the bottom piece too, you know? But we have three sets of eyes. The eyes that are in him now are the widest open. And then we have two other narrowing eyes. I think the most I've ever seen was like 6 versions of eyes. So there'd be 5 different opens, and then they would do like a red one for like the kill mode or something like that. So 3 is pretty limited in regards to accessorizing your appearance of your Spider-Man figure, especially since there's no other yellow eyes. So it's, and not that I can remember. So it's not like we could switch it out with any other Spider-Man eyes here to give them yellow eyes. So I'm looking just in case, and no, they're not. There's no other yellow eyes that you could put into this. So it'd be nice if they gave us 5 because of the uniqueness, but they don't. They only give us 3. And then we also get the traditional spider splat, if you will. Black wrist pegs, which makes sense. Let me get a drink. I stopped putting yogurt in my drink and now only using the Torani flavored syrup exclusively for this. What I am doing, though, and this is interesting, maybe it's crazy, I don't know. When I make my egg omelet, I throw some yogurt in that. So as I'm beating up the eggs, put a dollop of yogurt in there, maybe 2, and whip it all up in that. And it gets a really fluffy egg, if that's what you're looking for. I know, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. So I see some little web shooters or something in here. And I'm curious what the difference in them is. So I'm going to take the one off of his wrist and compare it. And this might be something from the game. Maybe he has interchangeable web shooters. I don't know. I've not played the game. I'm sure I would love the game. I'm absolutely positive I would love the game. And I would just totally consume myself in it. But I've got so much going on as it is, I wouldn't have time for it. Okay, this is very interesting. What it appears to me is that the web shooter that's on him is not designed to actually have any webbing put in it. It's just a close-up of a closed-off web shooter. And then what they've included is a web shooter with a larger aperture, if that would be the right word, opening to be able to accept the webbing in it. That's interesting. I like that they did that. That's really cool. And there's a big L on it, so you know which one is the left versus right. It's nice. Didn't know that they would be specifically separated, but I don't know if you can see that or not. But that's the difference in them. I hope it's coming in focus. I don't know. So that's nice. If you have no intention of using any webbing on him and you're just going to have him stand there, then you can just keep the regular webbing shooter, web shooter, on him. You know, that was in the Tobey Maguire movie. That literally was my only complaint about the first movie, was that they made Tobey generate his web fluid out of his body. And other than that, you know, he was dead on Marvel 616 Spider-Man as far as I was concerned. So obviously, Tobey's not Marvel 616 Spider-Man. Tobey generates his webbing out of his body. And the reason I hated that specifically was because Spidey has to have cartridges full of web fluid in order to be able to fight the bad guys, in order to be able to swing through the city. And he normally carries, you know, a bunch of these around his belt, more or less. And there have been many times when Spidey has run out of web fluid. And I saw that as, when I first seen that in the movie, well, there goes his weakness of running out of web fluid. But then we found it being a type of a psychological impact on him where he wasn't able to generate the webbing. So he did have a weakness to that in regards to things. Now, another thing I find interesting, and I don't know what it is in the palm of this hand, there's a little silver dot. And I don't know what it is. Maybe from the game, maybe that's where this fluid comes from. I don't know. But it's definitely in there. And it's a neat effect. Whatever it's supposed to be, it is there. So we have these two, and I call them spider press palms because it's what you would see is he's climbing up a wall or pressed against his wall. His fingers kind of go backwards as he presses them onto him. He's like a double jointed fingertip there, which bends back. So we have those two. We have the classic "I love you, Spider-Man" look, where he is able to flip the webbing. We, of course, have kind of a relaxed, grasping hand that is applied to the figure when you get it. We have thumbs up webbing hands with the hole in it for carrying web. And sometimes the position of that thumb is good for holding USB sticks, goobers, or whatever, as well as such. So that's a nice addition to get that in there if you wanted to put a goober in his hand. And finally, we have two closed fists without any ability to put webbing in them whatsoever in case you wanted to have Spidey put into a fighting pose. And if you felt so inclined, you can always drill your own hole through there and put your webbing in there. And by the way, we discussed this one time before, there really is no right way of putting these webbings through the hands. In case you missed that episode where we talked about that, whatever Hot Toys tells you to do, it doesn't work either way. All right. So I've had situations where I have pushed it through. I've had situations where I've pulled it through, and in both scenarios, this has broken. Okay. So if you're going to be putting any webbing in this hand, please make sure that the hole is large enough for this to slide into. Okay. Whether you have to drill it out with a drill, whether you have to soak it in hot water to get it loose, whatever works for you best. But if you start putting it in and you get any resistance, which I'm getting right now, okay, stop. Don't pull it. I've had this piece snap clean off right there. Don't push it because I've had this piece break right there. So literally, as it's gone, that's as far as it's going. Okay. And if you don't want it to look like that, if you want it down around his knuckle as a proper place for it, then you need to make that hole wider to accept this web. Right? Don't force it. Don't shove it. Don't pull it. You're going to break it. And you're going to be angry. Unless you've got 50 of these laying around and you don't care that you break one of them. So that's my pointer for that. Don't do it. Even though when you read the instruction manual, they tell you one or the other. Let's see what the instruction manual even says on that on this one. I should have looked at that. Whatever it says, don't follow it. It's wrong. And what they literally say here is pull it through the bottom. They say don't push it. I'm telling you, if you pull it through the bottom, you're going to snap it off at the bottom. I'm telling you right now because I've done it. So just make sure the hole's big enough. If you get any resistance whatsoever, stop and find a way of making that hole bigger. Whether it's shoving something into it and stretching it out in that manner, whether it's boring it out with a drill bit or a file or something to that effect, or whether it's soaking it in hot water to make it more pliable, whatever works best for you, don't don't pull it. You will be sorry. You'll be very angry, especially if it's your only Spidey. Especially if it's your only Spidey. Then you're going to be really angry. I do have Mysterio ordered, and I don't remember if I ordered one or two of them, but I for fact have Mysterio ordered. Um, I think the only figure, for the most part, that I've passed on currently along the Marvel thing is um, the Iron Man classic suits. And a couple of you guys have said that I'll be sorry for passing on that, and you're probably right. You're probably right. And I say that to myself. I'm like, oh man, I probably ought to get that. Yeah, definitely. I've got Mysterio. When I first saw Mysterio, it looked like it just had this terrible seam in his dome. I was really disappointed in that. But it doesn't appear to be that. Essentially, there's a bird out there chirping. I'm trying to figure out what that noise was. But yeah, I definitely have Mysterio on order. You better believe it. I think he looks great. I wish there was a way that they could do something with the dome, make it look better than what I'm anticipating it's going to look like. I'm sure it's going to look neat with some sort of a pearl swirl look in the dome. But I wish there was some way they could do some sort of light up to it, or like a snow globe effect, or anything would be neat. But and I'm sure they've probably examined that in any way, and it'll be good however he comes. But because I'm sure there's just not any way that they could just do that. Essentially, as far as that goes. Since we were talking about the drone, maybe I'll pull that other drone up and unbox that. If I can figure out where I put it. Static just grabbed my hair. I need to get a haircut. My COVID hairdo. Only Nancy Pelosi can get her haircut during COVID here in California. She can get her haircut, but you can't. Don't you get your haircut. You're breaking COVID rules. What is this? Oh, yeah, let's open this up. What's her name? Oh, what is her name? Spider-Woman. Toys R TE020. I don't remember Spider-Woman's origination story. And I don't remember whether or not she's Silk also. But just like Deadpool, I will buy any iteration of Spider anything. I love Spider-Man. Watched Avengers and Avengers Infinity War this last week. Um, I thought was interesting was in both of those movies, they used the word, this is the end game. I thought that was neat that they were telling us this then. You know what I mean? That up there, that's the end game, I think is what he said. Toys R Lady Crimson. That's what they called this. Officially non-licensed Marvel product. And God bless Toys R Us and these other companies, Young Rich and Mini Mates and AI and all these other companies that are making these figures, because Hot Toys never will. You'll never get it otherwise, right? And if you want this character, this is what you have to do. Or kit bash one yourself. And I don't have the ability to draw, to create a suit as such. Very sexy box cover there. Shows the silhouette of Spider-Woman hanging upside down with some comic book art in there. Really nice. This would actually make a nice backdrop for her. So I'll probably keep that out and not put it back in the box. Real basic. Not much going on there. Um, Feels like the it kind of feels like the regular Spider-Man suit. Kind of hard to tell exactly what it is. I like the webbing that she has in between her arms, and actually, Spider-Man kind of started with webbing like that, if I remember correctly, back in the comics. He didn't really keep it past that. I do like in the MCU how they gave him that webbing that would produce under there to help him glide. But if I remember correctly, there was this on him originally, and I think Miguel O'Hara had that as well as Spider-Man 2099. So it's nice to see that they add that to this. It's real nice. Her body seems a bit misshapen. It might just need to be maneuvered here. Um, there's a definite seam in the back, which looks like could be a zipper, but I don't think it is. I think they've glued it or sewed it tight after putting her suit on her. So it would be possible to take it apart and put a Fison in there if you want, if these hips really started bothering you really badly. Whereas the joint in the hip goes, if you wanted to do away with that, and in the elbows, I suppose you could take this apart. I'm going to tell you, I don't recommend it at all. There's virtually no articulation. There is no articulation at the ankle, so you're not moving these feet. But you could, as I was stating, put this into a Fison body, should you feel so inclined. But you would be mega, mega, mega modifying this figure. So just know that it's not a zipper. It appears to be sewn up tight. But it can be done. It can be done. Should you be so inclined, if you feel it's necessary, to do away with the joints. But she's really articulated. I mean, you can't do that with a Fison. You can't get a Fison knee to bend that much. It just doesn't bend that much. So that's a huge advantage over a Fison. If you wanted to put her into a super exaggerated pose, you certainly could. And you can twist the foot, okay? But there's no articulation other than that. It's just solid vinyl there. Super tight. Super, super tight. I'm trying to do away with this ugly crease here in the front, which is actually giving her a nice bow tie in the back as we stretch that by pressing the waist forward. Gives her a great ass. And I think the head sculpt looks nice. It resembles what I would expect a Spider Woman to look like from the comics. I don't remember her much. I don't remember her story at all, to tell you the truth. The hands seem unusually small in this fist. I don't believe I've got this boot all the way in there. There we go. Let's compare it to the open hand. Yeah, they made the fist too small. It's just not properly sized. That fist is too small in comparison to the open hand there. So it just looks weird on her. So I'm probably going to take the fists off and put one of the other hands on. We have these two grasping hands. reaching, holding, stretching hands. And we have the two relaxed hands. So there's no web swinging hand. Okay. And I don't remember if Spider Woman swings in web. She must. For some reason, I just can't. I can't. For the life of me, I can't remember a single comic that I remember reading her in. I don't know why. But as far as my Spider-Man collection goes, she's part of the Spider-Verse, right? She's related somehow. Was she a genetic recreation of Spider-Man? I don't. I swear to God, I don't remember. If one of you know, let me know. But no, I don't like these fists. Way too small. Way, way too small. I just had a thought of Tyler Durden with the rubber gloves. That shit looks great. I mean, there's many spider people. You got Madam Web, Silk, right? Of course, Spider Gwen. Love Spider Gwen. Um, May Parker, right? Was that what their daughter was called? Spider Girl. Female Venom, and then Gwen Poole and Gwen Venom. I think Mary Jane even donned a spider something at one point, didn't she? Or got possessed by Venom or something. I don't remember the whole story there. All right, so to round out the rest of the box is Lady Crimson figure base with the what would you call this, juxtaposed stand. And truthfully, this is going to be a bigger stand than I want for her, so I'm probably not going to use this for her. And on top of that, they quality control didn't make this fit into here in the first place. It's just a teeny bit too tight. Just a teeny bit too tight. So that's going to have to be worked. These guys don't fit in it either. So can't use this anyhow in its current state. So that's that. Ah, the ancient one, yes. Now, if I remember correctly, she was made one time before, and passed on her by accident. So this, I think, this is a re-release or somebody else making that figure, which is extremely cool. Yeah, I ordered that. What else? There was something else too that, if I remember correctly, came out. Robert, how's it going, man? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Saturday. Sideshow GI Joes. Ah, that's awesome. I remember the GI Joe cartoons. I was just I was just a little bit outside of GI Joe when they came out. I was out on my own, and I didn't have a chance to follow much of the GI Joe cartoons. So I've seen them, obviously, but I don't remember them much. GI Joe, of course, I remember, the music, and at the end they had their little public service announcement where they'd say knowing is half the battle, and I know all that, and I don't remember if I've ever seen any of the GI Joe movies. So I think there's been some movies out, right? So I'm very familiar with that, and of course, when I was a little kid, I actually had some GI Joe dolls from the '60s. Okay, these 12-inch figures, that are worth, I imagine, pretty good penny now. I had a couple of GI Joe dolls when I was a kid. Excuse me, GI Joe action figures, not dolls. Um, so I'm familiar with GI Joe in that regards, but I don't know them well enough to be able to keep up with what's going on with the Snake Eyes and Cobra and all of the GI Joe figures. I see them and they look really, really cool, and it ends up being another one of those where I'm like, oh God, I've got to stay away from this because I've already got way too many figures in the first place to display as it stands. But yeah, I can imagine GI Joe had a great effect on a lot of people, and that it could be a wonderful collection to add or to collect. Just like the Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Same thing. I was just outside of that, so I know enough about the Turtles to have an appreciation for and to love them and to want to collect them. And let's see if I even remember their colors. Donatello's purple. Um, Raphael, I think, was the orange one. I think Michelangelo was blue, and Leonardo was red. Is that right? And I don't remember which who used what weapon either. But that's a whole nother line that it's one of those that's like, man, I wish I knew enough about them, more about them to want to collect them, and or even I wish I had the room to collect them, you know. But yeah, that's exciting. The GI Joe dolls are figures. The GI Joe figures are really super neat, and I definitely ordered the ancient one. For fact, I think I don't remember if I ordered two or not of her. To tell you the truth, I definitely ordered one, but I regretted not getting her the first time I saw her 2 or 3 years ago, whatever it was. At the first time an ancient one was made available at that point. And the Loki, yes. Oh my God, I ordered the Loki. I hope they make all of the Lokis. I sincerely do, including the little alligator or crocodile, whichever he was, Loki. I want to see all the Lokis, all 8 or 10 or 12 of them, or however many it was there. I really enjoyed that. That was really that was really neat seeing all the Lokis there. I really like that. I think for a fact if they're going to make any of them, first off the president Loki or whatever, that they made was a no-brainer. That was literally just taking Tom Hiddleston's figure and just putting a new outfit on him. The easiest one to make. But I for fact want the female Loki, and I want to get the old school Loki, which they called Future Loki. For fact, I want the one that killed Thor's, the one that had the type of a hammer that he was carrying. I want them all. I want them all. I want them all. I ordered another Paul Rudd head sculpt and a this Steve Rogers head sculpt for to put together a team suit. I don't like the gold color of his hair. I don't remember Steve having gold hair. Maybe he does. I don't know. But I thought it was closer to brown. The face looks good. So this is a third party. I don't remember who made it, but it's currently available if you go to your suppliers for these type of things. This is it. And it looks good. I just don't care for the color, hair color. And that's something you could fix if you're talented, which I don't know how much talent I have. Or you just throw some brown in there, dry brush it onto it. Not wet brush it, just dry brush it on there, which is the process of taking the paint, the brush, sticking it into the paint, and then wiping the paint off onto a paper towel, so just a little bit of paint on there, and then just applying it just on the outside layer of it. And that doesn't put a wet coat on it. It's a dry brushing technique. What I want to do is I want to compare this to Cap over here. Because I think this head sculpt that I used for this was the Cap from Avengers, if I remember correctly. And then the Cap I used here came from, I don't remember, maybe Winter Soldier. So I want to compare these head sculpts. Let's get Spider-Woman out of the way. Let's do a height comparison, by the way, in case you're curious. So that's how big she is, in case you were wondering. And, well, while we have him over here, Team Suit versus Spidey. I have just a small problem with that. But this is a video game, yeah. That's really a small guy, isn't it? You got shoulder differences in that. Huge. Huge. Because, they're not going to make the other team suits. Even though they showed us Captain America in one, it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. If you want your team suits, you're going to have to put your own head sculpts on them. You know it. That's all there is to it. That's what it's got to be. Hate to tell you. So the one on the left is the Hot Toys Captain America, and the one on the right is a third party. And not bad. but you can definitely see the color difference in that hair. Way, way, way too gold. Way too gold. So I don't know if dry brushing a brown on there would work, because really the gold needs to be the highlight. It would almost need to be totally repainted. It's definitely not cast from the same mold. It's definitely a different head. So I don't know whether this was cast from an existing Hot Toys or somebody actually sculpted this outside of Hot Toys. I don't know. Um, the heads are made in Korea. JC Hong's team does the heads. It's very close, but it's definitely not the same head. No doubt about it. So what I was wanting was to get one that didn't appear so angry here. And because this is just totally pissed off Steve. And, you know, watch your language, Steve. And I don't like pissed off Steve here in his uniform. Just doesn't sit right with me. I don't want a pissed off Steve there. Where would I want a pissed off Steve? Avengers Infinity War? No. Yeah. No. It wasn't Infinity War. It was Avengers Age of Voltron. That's where I want a pissed off Steve. Well, they're out there chopping wood. That's where I want a pissed off Steve. But the problem with this is it's just the head. There's no neck. And even this one has a neck on it, so I still have to keep pissed off Steve here on his uniform, because I need to find a Steve without a neck. A no-neck Steve to go on the uniform here, because we're using a Fison body for this. I'm curious if I were to put a leg extender on this team suit, it would make it taller. I know I have some here recently that came with the Fisons. Someplace here. I thought I did. There we go. I wonder if that'll make them taller. Let's find out. Live action movies. That's a, same with me. I tried to keep the collection to a certain something, and it never ended up staying that way. I mean, I've often said that I wouldn't go with the cartoon style pieces. And what have I got? I got the Deadpools. I've got the one of them was a cartoon one besides Deadpool. Can't think which one it is now. But yeah, I ended up straying outside of my collecting purposes, specifically like Star Wars. I first off said I wasn't going to collect any Star Wars, and I said I collected Star Wars when I was a kid. I collected all the original Kenner figures. I had practically every one of them at one point in my life, and I was just going to steer clear of Star Wars this time because I knew it was just going to be huge. And then I was like, well, R2D2 is gosh darn cute, so I'll buy an R2D2. And then it was like, well, you got to have R2D2 without C3PO. And then when the land speeder became available through Juiced, I ordered the land speeder, and you know, now you've got to get Luke Skywalker and Ben Kenobi to ride in the land speeder, and then you have to have the stormtroopers to pose up outside of them for them to say, you know, these are not the droids you're looking for, and all of that. So it just ends up snowballing from one to the next. I think we're in business here. Holy cow, we're in business here, guys. Holy smokeries. If I remember correctly, Ant-Man is shorter than the others, right? But Tony and Thor and Cap are all supposed to be the same height, right? They're all supposed to be like 6 feet tall, right? Um, I literally just put a foot extender on there. That little piece right there that came with the Fison um, mail series. Pop the foot off. Take the little foot ankle out of there. Maybe leave it in. I'm not sure if it. No. No, it doesn't pop in there. You have to take it out. Put the shoe back on. And then just slide the bootlet down right over it. And now put our Steve on there. And there we go. Now we have a properly heighted team suit. Voila. Voila. I get sidetracked. Damn cartoons. I said only getting Flint. Then needed Duke. Then Hawk. Yeah. I'm with you, Robert. Robert, I'm 100% there. 100% there. But definitely foot extenders, leg extenders on a team suit for fact. Because we're not going to get any more. They're not going to give us a Steve. They're not going to give us a Hawkeye. They're not going to give us a Nebula. We're not going to get a Black Widow. We're not getting a Hawkeye. We're not getting anybody. We got one Iron Legion. We got one team suit. That's it. Spider-Woman. She's sexy, isn't she? She's pretty sexy. For the life of me, though, I'm sorry, I cannot remember a single comic ever that she was in. I'm sure I've had to have read at least one or two that she did something in there, but I don't know why I cannot remember any of them. She looks great. I love this. What Toys R Us did. I love it. She'll go good once I get my gosh darn Detolfs put up and put my Spider-Man back in them instead of back there. Got 5 Detolfs in boxes I need to assemble. Had no place to put them. No place to put them. Steve with the military look. Yeah, let's get him back in here. So this works well with the Peggy Carter that they made several years ago. I forget who made it. And so this was just the suit. So I had to put it onto a Fison body in order to get this together. And the Fison comes with a neck. So you have to find a Steve with just the head. And all the Steves come with necks, except for this one. And we end up getting pissed off Steve over there. So I need to find a Steve Rogers head without the neck to go on top of that Fison without him being pissed off. Right? Good luck on that, huh? Good luck on that. I don't know why Hot Toys and third party really hate people with blonde. They give them gold hair. Well, it's just one of those. It's one of those colors that I guess is just difficult to do. In regards to rooted hair, it's easy. They've got that down pat. But painting it, you got too much yellow, not enough yellow. Blonde hair is almost translucent. Which makes it difficult to paint. I imagine maybe that's why they used the gold. I don't know. Daggeransis. Daggeransis. How you doing, man? Awesome. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. The Fisons. Yes. Thank you very much. Welcome to the show. I'm here every Saturday about this same job. Thank you very at the same time. Thank you very much. So every Saturday I broadcast a show that started about 2 hours ago. And I normally do about a 2 hour show. And I used to be a little more organized. And then life interfered, which life loves to do. And it kind of demotivated me in some degree. YouTube is continually trying to demotivate me, obviously. So I used to do a lot more with the channel. I used to do preview videos and absolute real unboxing reviews. And they would take hours. I would spend probably sometimes 20, 30 hours just making a video. And then for YouTube to turn around and screw with you on top of that, it's like you end up start losing more and more love and passion for making these videos, the more and more you get abused by YouTube. And so now it's just became essentially just this casual conversation that we have on Saturday. You guys pretty much are an integral part of the show as much as I am. I try to keep track of what's being posted into the chats. I try to respond immediately if I can to them, and just make it a two-way street so we can talk about anything that's going on. We can talk about our figures, we can talk about the movies, we can talk about the shows, we can talk about what we're our own personal collections of what we're building. It's as much your channel as it is mine. It really is, and I enjoy all the feedback that I get from you guys, and I love every one of you, and I'm so thankful that you spend your times with me. Um, we've been doing this casual show probably 2 years now, I guess, is when I started doing just a casual Saturday shows. I don't remember how long ago I started doing them. And uh, I struggled with what time was the best time and day to do them. And when I looked at the YouTube analytics, it seemed that this time of the day was when most of you all were paying attention to the show, and or watching my videos. So I start at 7 o'clock in the morning California time, which all the way over on the other side of the world, where we have some of the viewers are from Singapore. Gosh, we're looking at 9, 10 o'clock at night. So it gives a wide range for everybody to be able to get in there and enjoy the show. And I appreciate every one of you. I really do. And my wife, when she was still alive, she enjoyed that I had you guys as someone to talk to and with. So she always enjoyed hearing how many of you were in the show on the weekends. So I agree. I'm happy to have you. Every one of you are very important to me. So thank you for being there for me and with me. And I really enjoy you all. And um, I know I've got more figures coming. I just don't know what's coming up. So when they come, obviously I'll unbox whatever we got. If nothing else, I just do a room tour. I've got to get my life back to some type of order and get this room back to where I can view my figures, or move the figures out of this room into another portion of the house to be able to have more room to that. And that's one of the things I'm struggling with in regards to what to do with what and how to do it in order to get it done. But I'm so glad to have you. Welcome to the channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. 12 o'clock in Florida, yeah. Uh, Thank you very much. Matt, how's it going, man? Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And another thing is I have a Patreon. When Patreon came out, YouTube said to tell everybody to YouTube. They're bastards. I have to tell you, man. I found out a couple weeks ago. Don't talk bad about YouTube. They'll shut your channel off. So anyhow, they said to tell your viewers to pay you through Patreon, or to subscribe to you and pay through a subscription. And I hated doing that. I hated doing that. I hated doing that. And it's because I have absolutely zero to offer you other than just talking with you. So I've reasoned with it and just decided, you know what? If you enjoy the content, if you enjoy spending time here with me, if you enjoy helping out, throw me $1 as a tip. Just consider it a tip. The same thing you do when you go to a restaurant and your waitress brings you your meal. You give her a tip. You tip the driver for bringing you your pizza hot and not upside down. If you enjoy what I'm doing, go to patreon.com/Siri Emerald, SIRIEMERALD, and just throw $1 my way. I've got zero to give you. And trust me, you're not paying for my figures. We're talking $200, $300, $400 figures here. So don't look at it as a way of you of me saying, buy my figures for me, because I'm not going to buy them my own. I bought all these my own self, except for maybe one or two that were gifts. And I thank you, supporters, for those, by the way. But it's literally just a tip. It just shows me that you absolutely care. And so you Patreon supporters that have supported me and continue to support me, oh, thank you so much for that. Like I said, if you have it, it's nice to know that you care that much for it. And if you don't have it, don't worry about it. I'm doing the show whether you guys give me $1 or not. It doesn't make a hill of beans. I mean, I did the show for years for pennies from YouTube. So, it's all about the passion of it. I love doing it. I love sharing it off. I enjoy spending the time with you guys and talking. I do a lot of talking sometimes. Sometimes I don't shut up. I talk so much. But I look forward to it. And like I said, if you want to help out, Patreon is where it can be done. Thank you very much. There's super chats too. You can send super chat in if you ever wanted to as well. I think all these are enabled for that if you ever wanted to do that. So just wanted to plug that too. And I hate plugging that, but I don't mind saying it because truthfully, it's how I feel. If you feel you want to tip, you're more than welcome to. If you don't, it doesn't hurt my feelings one bit. But it is nice to know those of you that have supported me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for that. Thank you. It means a lot. It means that you give a damn enough for me to keep doing this. That's what it means. It really does. Let's see. So when am I doing a collection tour? We did one 2 weeks ago, I think. Just a real quick little room tour. But you really couldn't see everything because the boxes that are in the way. So, but I did one a couple weeks ago at the end because I just ended up not having much to do after unboxing whatever it was I was unboxing, and I did just a real quick room tour. But I need to do a straight on, just a nice actual collection tour of each one of them. But right now, with all the boxes in the way, and I'll show you that. I'll show you what I'm talking about so you can see them. I'm absolutely out of my gourd right now. I've got stuff just stacked in front of the display cases here, so you really can't even get into where anything is. So the whole bottom shelves are just blocked by stuff. I've got figures just sitting on top of boxes and just shoved because I've got no place to put them currently. And it's a crying shame. I just life just kind of, when my wife died, it changed everything. My motivation just went right to the pits. Now I can blame that as being the real reason for this mess, but I think it probably started before that as the collection outgrew the room. But that's where everything is, except for in the other room, I have the Iron Man 1 through 7 and the Age of Ultron, the Avengers fighting Ultron in the other room. Other than that, everything is right here. And like I said, you can't even see the bottom. You can't even see the bottom row there because of all the figures in the way. And all these are 1/6 scale figures, except for Ant-Man, for instance. I will buy them in multi-scales because he is multi-scalable. And other than that, and Wasp, same thing. I have two of her, one in 1/12 scale and one in 1/6 scale. And then, of course, I have a little kid Deadpool I made over there, which I think was a 1/12 scale figure. I don't remember that I used. It was actually two things that I used to make him. I think it was a 1/12 scale figure, which I don't remember which one it was, and it was a bust from a collection of Deadpool pieces that came with Squirrel Pool and Dog Pool and Head Pool. There was a Kid Pool bust that came with that. So I disassembled the Kid Pool bust and made a Kid Pool, putting it on a 1/12 scale body over there. Other than that, it's all 1/6 scale. Oh, and the reason Deathstroke is over there, even though he's a DC character, and I got no problem with DC. I'm not a DC hater. I just collect all the Marvel. That he's Deadpool in an alternate reality. as far as I'm concerned. It's a way of looking at them. And that's what all those Deadpools are. Every one of those Deadpools, besides Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, are alternate reality Deadpools, right? So that's how I justified the Deathstroke, because actually he was original, right? Wade copied him. Marvel copied DC. Everybody knows that. That's no news. You got Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, Spidey's here. Some third party up there, Negasonic and Juggernaut, Cable. Sweet ass Venom from Toys R Us. Love that Venom. But yeah, I need to do a proper tour once I've got the room to do it all. I need to just get with the program. Need to get with the program, guys. So, thanks for tuning in. I kept y'all about 2 hours. Let's see, what do we got here? Currently trying to kit bash a Lindsey Sterling figure. Now, isn't that the violinist that plays that really mean violin? Some really good, beautiful music. That'd be great, man. That'd be great. She's beautiful. Love her. To get a buy on the van. They called me again yesterday and said that they were finalizing it at the trust. I don't know. I'm thinking about selling my Bumblebee, by the way, the Camaro. I have a 2010 2SS RS CTH edition Chevrolet Camaro. And the CTH was the RPO ordering code for getting the Transformer officially licensed Hasbro product Camaro in 2010. They did it in 2010. They did it again in 2012. And it was a $1,000 option, $995 option, which put on it the Transformer emblem on the front fender in front of the door. It put a Transformer wording on the running board when you opened up the door sill there. It put a Transformer head on the center console of the car. On the hood, on the black stripe, it put the word Transformers on it. And I think there's one I'm forgetting. The center caps on the wheels have the Transformer emblem on them. And then I've added to that a Transformer oil cap and a Transformer valve stem covers. But other than that, it's fully stock. And I think the car right now is valued at $25,000. And it has less than 35,000 miles on it for a 12-year-old car. And it's one of the lowest numbers out there. I've only seen, and I've tried to collect these, Chevrolet did not keep track of how many of them they were making at the time that they made them. So they weren't numbering them. They weren't setting them aside. They weren't saying this is the first one, the second one, the third one. They didn't do it. They didn't have enough foresight at that time to do that. So what I've had to do is I've had to track down VIN numbers of those that have that CTH RPO code on there. And there's only one more that I found, and I belong to several of the Camaro groups out there to cross-reference VIN numbers with other people in the United States who have, and Canada, and the rest of the world who have this Transformer car. And there's only one other I found that's older. So I might have the number 2 car. Now, there is one that was displayed at San Diego Comic-Con in July of 2009. So that one obviously would be older as well. But I think that was just a prototype car. And there is one that was driven around the country by, I forget his name now, but he was worked for General Motors, and he had one too. So there's 2 others that would be older. The first one obviously would not have the CTH RPO coding on it because it was just a regular Camaro that they painted to have that as a prototype to get the interest as they drove it around the country to their different dealerships. And then the one at San Diego Comic-Con in 2009, I don't know whether or not that had the CTH RPO code in it either. Neither of those have I been able to validate in regards to VIN numbers of that. Actually, I had the VIN number of the first one that traveled across the country. I can't remember his name right now. It'll come to me here in a few minutes, of the guy that owned that Camaro. But the one from San Diego Comic Con, I don't have any idea what the VIN number is of it. Um, but it's so obviously it's a very low numbered one for fact. And I've only found so far only one other that has a lower number than that, which is important to some people. Of the, I think they made 1,800 of them after it's all said and done, and of the V8, which this one is, they made I think only 800 of them. I don't remember. You can actually start breaking it down to engine size and transmission type and 2SS versus 1SS, because the only option that was required on it was the it had to be yellow. You didn't even have to order the RS on it. So the RS made it look more like the movie car than without it. So it's got the 2SS, the RS, so it's fully loaded in that regard. The only thing it didn't have on it was the backup sensors, because obviously Bumblebee didn't have backup sensors on his bumper, and it didn't have a moonroof, which were two things that you could add to the car. And obviously Bumblebee did not have a moonroof, so that's why this Bumblebee does not have it. So I'm considering selling that also at $25,000. And brand new, the sticker on it was $38,000 in 2009 when the car came out. It was $38,000. It's a sticker on it. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Also, thank you, Robert. Thank you very much. Altabata, he did sell his. He had the 2012 Transformer. He sure did. His was a 12. So like I said, they made him twice. They made him 2010 and 2012. Was the two times they made the official ones that you would order at Chevrolet and have it sent to you that way with the CTH option. And there was less of them in 2012 that were made. And again, they didn't keep track of them. They did. You can go in there and you can find the CTH. So you know how many. We know how many numbers. We know how many were made, but we don't know which VIN numbers actually had the the CTH RPO code on them. What that would involve would be somebody from Chevrolet or General Motors to sit in front of the computer and type in the last 8 digits and pull up the RPO codes of all the vehicles manufactured from August to January. So from August of 2009 to January of 2010 was the time frame that they actually rolled those off of the assembly line. There was none made after January 10th, and I think August 9th was the first day that they were able to be ordered. July 31st was the day that they were presented there at San Diego Comic Con. That was the day they showed the car at San Diego Comic Con, which made it official. That's when Hasbro finally signed the contract with General Motors, allowing them to use the Transformers logos. So I think August 9th was the first day that they opened up ordering, and my Bumblebee's birthday is August 19th. So he's coming up on his birthday. So he was born August 19th, 2009. And that was when he rolled off the assembly line. That's when the final inspection was on there. And you can see there's little stickers on the frame steering components of the car inside the engine compartment that show you the time and date of the last few minutes of him in the plant. And so he was born in August 19th, 2009. So he's coming up on 12 years old and still looks brand spanking new. Excellent condition. Excellent, absolutely excellent condition. Get a Volkswagen, the true Bumblebee, right? Thank you, JB Beats NL. Are you in the Netherlands, I imagine? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, you are from the Netherlands. There we go. What time is it over there? Must be, you're probably 8 or 9 hours ahead of me. So we're looking at 5 or 6 o'clock at night. Is that right? Over there in the Netherlands? The kit car, yeah, yeah. I've seen many people who have made those Trans Ams into the kit car. I have seen many of them. Thank you very much, Jake. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, thank you. So I'm going to turn you all loose. Thank you for sticking around. Good seeing you, new visitors. I hope to see you next Saturday. Like I said, I'm here every Saturday, same time. It's 2 hour show or thereabouts. Sometimes we cut it short. Sometimes it goes a little long. Like today, we're kind of dragging it out. And so hopefully we will see you next Saturday. I love every one of you guys. Thank you very much.
Peace.